Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and this is a very emotional episode of Resident Alien. It deals with a lot of family reconciliation. Although, in the beginning, we open up with Joseph working on cloning Harry's DNA, which he then seems to apply to the ball. So, it may work, I don't know. Anyway, Harry's still dealing with the loss of Heather and her apparent betrayal. And so he stopped working on the bomb. Meanwhile, Kate wakes up, finds she's still handcuffed to the bed from last episode. And when she goes to get the key, she knocks it across the room and can't get to it. After some hesitation, she grabs the phone and calls someone to help. Asta's mom shows up, and she apologized to Asta for the way she treated her when they first met, and if they'd like to talk, and she wants to know more about her family, maybe they could go get lunch. Meanwhile, Liz tells Mike that he or she had taken that trick he told her about, how he puts one of his hairs on his lunch container to make sure it doesn't get someone doesn't take it and eat part of it when it's in the fridge, and she did that for the murder board. And when she tells Sheriff Mike, he automatically knows it's got to be the mayor, Ben. One, because of all the questions he's been asking, and two, because he's currently spying on them from his office. Meanwhile, Harry goes back to his cabin, and the daughter of the person's body he is pretending to be shows up. He had met her previously, I think, in the first season. But she's acting weird, and she attacks him. And during the fight, because of her strength, he realizes it's his son, who he named Bridget. That's Harry. And Bridget reveals that he wants to kill Harry for abandoning him. But first, he's going to destroy his whole world. And then leaves. Kate had called Darcy, and Darcy shows up and helps her out of the cuffs, but she doesn't question her. She doesn't ask any questions, because she knows it's probably got to do with aliens, and just lets Kate know she doesn't think she's crazy. Later, Bridget, disguised as Harry, is going all over town and getting Harry banned from every place. From the bar where Darcy works. From the bread place where he buys all his treats and stuff. Asta meets with her mother, who went and got a file. She went all over the place. County courthouses, got into records, and she has a whole file on her family. She just needs $750 to recoup all the money she laid out for this. Asta has to think about it. And she goes to ask some of her adopted family what to do. And she's told quite frankly that if you pay it once, she'll come back and want money for something else later. It'll be never ending. Let's see. Harry goes to see Max. But Max, because he's in trouble and grounded for having stolen Harry's caldera for his science project, he doesn't want to help Harry. So Harry, in frustration, takes the taser he had from the alien hunter away from Max, and he'll just do it on his own. Luckily, he runs into Sahar, who is back in town from her gifted school that she went to. But she doesn't want to tell Max she's back. It turns out later she was used to being the smartest person. And in the gifted program, she's just average compared to a lot of the students. And she just can't handle that, so she left. Asta decides to pay her mother for the file. Then her mother reveals that this is just her side of the family. The father's side, well, he's got a desk. Might have some stuff in it. If you want to buy the desk. At which point Asta returns the file, takes her check back, and says she's not interested anymore. Darcy's dad ends up in the hospital from a heart attack. It's okay. He's going to be okay. But in talking, they reconcile their differences, as he's always had a problem with her being scared. You know, just basically one of those fathers who's always disappointed in her, and he tells her he was wrong. She's great. Everything she did was awesome, and if she can't ski anymore, she'll do something else that's just as awesome. That'll be important for later. Well, Liv and Mike, they go to see a chemist at a laboratory that night. Now, this turns out to be a ruse because Joseph shows up to try and get the drop on Liv because Mike went in alone. But Liv's not in the van. She comes up behind him. And then Mike comes out. This was all a trap just to capture Joseph and arrest him for murder. But being an alien, he's a lot quicker than they are and gets Liv's gun away from her, holds her hostage, and demands the notebook, which they have, which Mike reluctantly gives her. And then they reveal there is no chemist to go see. It's the middle of the night. Nobody works in a laboratory this time of night, especially not a chemist. At which point he says, well, then I have no reason to keep you two alive. At which point Ben, who had been following them unbeknownst, because they thought they had given him the slip, slams into Joseph at like 50 miles an hour. And basically splats him. Well, Liv and Mike jump into the car. They turn around and spin out, but then Ben has a change of heart. Like, oh my God, what if we killed him? We'd be wanted for murder. And he turns back around to finds he's not there. Mike's convinced it was some kind of government thing that scooped him up, and he goes to find clues. Liv believes it was aliens. Ben, he's starting to come around to that idea too. Now, back at Harry's cabin, I don't know why I always do that. Same thing happens. Anyways, back at Harry's cabin, he's having Sahara as bait to trap his son, which does kind of work because the baby alien who loves Sahara jumps into her arms and she says, I will always protect you from everything. I love you. And Harry zaps him with the taser and he explodes. But Harry's got a lot of DNA around his house on the floor, as he's never swept. So the alien son comes up, reconstituted, has most of the townspeople that have visited the cabin. So Harry sends Sahara away so she'll be safe, and he just gets in a massive fight where he's tasing them, they're dropping, and then they're coming up with someone else as they grab DNA until they run out of DNA. There's only one left, and that's Max, and they have an extremely angry fight, yelling back for each other until they both realize they really do love each other, and they hug, and oh, he's going to love him, he's protecting him, but now he has a purpose other than moping about Heather's betrayal. Now he can give all that to his son Bridget. Darcy goes to see her ex to kind of say goodbye. Very strange. Kate, again, chains herself to the bed and puts a red marker in her pocket of her pajamas. The next morning, she wakes up. The handcuffs are undone. She checks her arms and finds that she has written on it, "It's real." Let's see where are we at here now. Okay. Harry and Asta have a conversation where they're talking about being negligent parents, and he makes Asta realize she is being selfish about Jay by having her at the house. She wanted her there for selfish reasons, not to help Jay, and so she takes Jake back to her adopted parents. They have a bit of a squabble about that, but eventually Jay realizes Asta's right, and that they'll continue trying to find their relationship with each other. Kate comes into the office to talk to Harry. She wants the bump on the back of her neck removed. Harry, realizing it's a gray tracking device, hypnotizes her so that he can get the layout of the saucer on the gray ship. But she keeps fixating on her child that they have. And Harry, realizing his own familial love with Bridget, wakes her up and lets her remember all that and comforts her while she cries. Later, talking to the general at his cabin, he says that he's finished the bomb, he's got a plan, and he will be destroying the Greys himself, but if she wants to come along to observe and document, that's perfectly okay, only to find out that the bomb is not there. Someone stole it. And we end with Marcy and the bomb heading to Yellowstone, and she has the plan Harry wrote out so that she will save the world and fulfill the great purpose her father thinks she has. Whew. Emotionally, this is a roller coaster with a lot of emotions. Some good action. The unexpectedness of Ben saving Liv and Mike was pretty good. A lot of good humor between them as always. Especially like the bit of slapstick where Ben is trying to spy on them through the blinds in his office, and he causes the blinds to fall off. I know it's an old gag, but I still like it because the characters really sell it. And Mike looks at this and says, well, maybe shaking him won't be that hard after all. And the standoff with Joseph where Mike just irritates him no end because it's like, drop it. The gun or the notebook? Both. Okay. Take it over here. The gun or the notebook? The gun first. He just always sees people just frustrate him no end. And I think next week is the midway point for, or the midway break, I'm not sure. Checking the schedule on Spectrum, I only see next week's episode listed. So maybe that we have going to have another break like we had last season, or just they haven't gotten to that point. But whichever, it's really looking good, and I'm kind of fearful for Darcy. I've grown to care about that character and all her faults and problems. But, and I liked Asta dealing with her mother and coming to the right decision of learning about your past just isn't worth what someone wants to gain from it. So please hit like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.